Rakesh, the gentleman sitting next to Laura, actually bring data to politics. So 10 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, 10 years ago you actually started your political career by adding 5 million people to your party cadre. And also, currently you're the cabinet minister of IT and rural development for Andhra Pradesh, yes, in India. And as a minister, you're pushing for digitalization of government services and also setting regulation on cybersecurity. So tell me how you do that.
No, the state of Andhra Pradesh is the newest state in India. And when the state got bifurcated, we had the lowest per capita income in South India. And the question is, how can you use IoT devices to really propel growth? So we came up with 961 key performance indicators that as a state will monitor real time and have a quarterly update, like in the private sector. And how can we become more accountable to our citizens? So using data actually for growth and looking at areas that we can actually drive growth. And that has really worked in the state of Andhra Pradesh. The other challenge that we struggle in India is the ability to target government welfare schemes. So we are the only state which has 1 million IoT devices in the field. And we're now using these IoT devices to ensure that target is actually happening. The delivery is actually happening. And apart from that, we're actually reaching out to citizens proactively, getting feedback from them. And are they happy with the government? Are they happy with the service that they've availed from the government? So I think that this is just the beginning of what I believe is agile governance. And we at the state of Andhra Pradesh actually call it real-time governance. And through this, what we want to achieve is invisible government, but visible governance.
Invisible government
and visible governance.
Very nice. We'll come back to that exciting case.
For us in the state of Andhra Pradesh, there are quite a few examples, but I'll stick to agriculture. Indian agriculture contributes to close to 25% of GDP, but creates close to 60% of the jobs. So that's a huge challenge. How do you make agriculture sustainable? The biggest challenge is water, and allocation of water resources. So we have physiometers. We have about close to 17,000 physiometers in the field that give us real-time feedback on the moisture content of the soil. And then we have sensors across our entire river network, our entire canal network, to really optimize water utilization. And this is one example. The other example in agriculture is actually predicting commodity prices. So we as a state predicted certain commodities would crash. And then we would give feedback to the farmers not to sow those commodities. So, if you look at this, what has been the outcome? What are the results? So one year we had 24% deficit in rainfall, but agri-allied grew by 18%, 1/8. And the other year I had 18% deficit in rainfall, but agri and agri-allied grew by 24%. So just having this IoT sensors talking and having the real-time governance center using this data to really give optimal resources to the farmers, I think has been very transformational.
Exciting. Lauren.
So like your experience, I think we've seen many different examples that have been very
to make the rules that can foster innovation, but at the same time give proper protection. Maybe start with you, Lakesh.
No, I think as a state, we look at the private sector as a partner in this entire process. So I think the industry understands better where technology is moving. And as a government, we see as our role as being more a facilitator. And of course, safeguarding the rights of our citizens. So I think it's a very fine balance. But as a state, what we have taken is the data that we have as a state. Can this become a platform for innovators to come and offer services to the citizens? Can this foster entrepreneurship? So we've done a lot of hackathons on land records, for example, where blockchain has actually shown the way. A company actually did an amazing work in our new capital city, where all land records came onto blockchain. So I think it's a very fine line. I think it's always a challenging one. And it also depends on which part of the world you ask this question.
Yeah.
Because I think emerged economies or developed economies have a different set of challenges versus emerging economies. So I think that's, again, a bigger challenge that we'll face as a planet.
About data breach cases last year, although it's leading in using digitalization and its governance. So how do you balance that? And what do you want to do to prevent that from happening again?
I think the biggest challenge is how do you educate all your government departments on the importance of the data that they hold. So we as a state have our own SOC already in place, that enables us to protect all the government assets and the government data sets that we own. But the challenge is that we are rushing. So the different departments have various levels of maturity in terms of understanding what they own. And that's where we've been going through this entire process of certifying them, getting the data into a proper authority and sort of building on that. But as you said, being the first state in India in leading the data-driven governance, I think we're prone more to this kind of hackings. But as a state, I think we've made a lot of strides in that area. But it continues to be a big challenge. I think globally this is a big challenge. And that's where now I think we're seeing a global alliance of all the SOCs coming together and started sharing what are the potential threats and what are the areas that intrusions are actually happening. And that I think will really help us.